All right, Jeet Kune, 18th of May, Monday. Thank you for joining me again. I hope everybody was okay with the week off. Just need a little bit of time to catch up on some things. As is our tradition in my organization, we acknowledge all of the different martial arts that influence us, no matter what subject area we're training in. Only because I can't imagine my practice without, with any of those pieces missing, because I get something from all of them and I get something from all of my instructors. So Chinese, Filipino, Thai, Indonesian, French and Dog Brothers, and Japanese. Okay. And as I was saying earlier, this is going to be a solo class. I'm not going to bring my wife in. I'm not going to bring my daughter in. We're going to train in the air by ourselves. That's the situation that most of you are in. And I mean, while I'm incredibly grateful for my family being willing to help me, it's also a little bit different than having like your regular, your favorite training partner available to you. Okay, so let's get some materials that are, gonna benefit all of you that you can work on by yourself. So footwork, ladies and gentlemen, we just have to have these things. So unless you're left-handed, let me have everybody in a right lead. Okay, if you are truly, genuinely left-hand dominant, you can be in a left lead, but this way I have everybody kind of standardized. So our Baizhang stance is supposed to be in line. It is different, stay where you're at, it's different from Thai boxing. Not only because Thai boxing, orthodox lead would be left lead, but Thai boxing is a little bit more full front, like that's the way it's supposed to be. Even though obviously I changed leads when I went to my kick stance, this Baizhang stance from Jeet Kune is supposed to be a little bit more in line. All right, my lead foot, my lead foot heel is even with my rear toe. The ball of my rear foot is where I want to be. My hands are in line. Everything is kind of concealed as opposed to being full front. Now, I'm not saying full front's bad. I'm showing you, traditionally where the Baizhang stance was supposed to be. Now, we have to have these basics, and we've gone over these enough. We have our singular tools. So our jab, our cross, our lead hook, our lead body hook, our lead and rear uppercuts, our lead and rear overhands, and I added in our lead and our rear hammer fists, okay? When I start with new people, I introduce those tools on their own, and that would be the first way of attack in JKD, which is SDA, single direct attack. The very next level, everybody change leads, please. Here's our jab, here's our cross, here's our lead hook, here's our lead body hook, lead and rear uppercuts, lead and rear overhands, lead and rear hammer fists. Where we go straight out the gate, and I've taught them enough times, I'm not being lazy. If you want to watch them, go back and watch previous week's classes. Sometimes as early as somebody's first JKD lesson, especially if they have prior training, if they already know those tools, we're going to go into the next way of attack, which is ABC, attack by combination. So we get into our boxing 3 counts. Let me just do it this way. This will actually be, because this might light up your creativity, and without starting any arguments, that's really what JKD is supposed to be about. If not your creativity, then at least your ability to string things together into a way that works for you. So go back to whatever lead you feel most comfortable in. And quite honestly, for me at this point, for my kickboxing, I'm going to go left lead because that's where I like to be. Aside from triple jab, everybody just pump out triple jab, okay? Now, triple jab, and I'm watching all of you do it, and this is the beauty of this. Triple jab is seemingly very simple on its surface. I saw some of you flick, flick, flick. I saw some of you flick, flick, power. I saw some of you power, reset, power, reset, power. They're all correct. What's the context? That's the question that you have to be answering. What's the context? And the appropriate response is the correct way of doing it. Okay, now aside from that, the first family of 3 counts, I'm going to say this out loud. If anybody wants to throw in the air as I'm talking, please go right ahead, because I want you to internalize this in your brains and your intellects so that you can play around with this. The first family of 3 counts is jab, cross, X, and you're going back to the lead tool. So of course you could start jab, cross, jab. But then, as opposed to me calling them out for you, again, if you want to do it in the air, do it in the air. But you have all the other jab, cross, hook, jab, cross, body hook. You can go through all jab, cross, X. You can go through all the other tools. And I mean, you could even, like, we're only looking right now at Western boxing for the most part. I know the hammer fists wouldn't be legal in Western boxing as martial athletics, but still, this is where you might make a connection. You might go jab, cross, lead, horizontal elbow, right? I haven't, just because I haven't mentioned Thai boxing doesn't mean that that's not an option. You could do any, I don't particularly like throwing my downward diagonal elbow with my lead elbow. It just feels weird to me. That doesn't mean you couldn't do it, okay? Any other elbows that you know, you could start playing with that. If you know Hari Mao from Silat, Hari Mao is a palm strike where you're also, even if your nails are trimmed back like mine are, you're trying to kind of dig the tips of the nails in to the face. Hopefully you get the eyes, but the emphasis is on a palm strike. Could I jab, cross, lead Hari Mao? Of course I could. So what I'm trying to give you, it's up to you and your creativity. Now in my curriculum, it's going to run you through all the Western boxing tools. Jab, cross, jab, jab, cross, hook, jab, cross, body hook, jab, cross, uppercut, jab, cross, overhand, jab, cross, jab, cross, hammer fist, okay? As a bare minimum. But what it's really supposed to be, it's what I've been calling lately a forced exploration. I'm forcing you to run through those tools in combination for you to figure out what fits you best. And you can't usually have those kind of revelations without going through all of the requirements. So that's the first family of boxing 3 counts. And I'm sort of putting it out there the way I am this week so that you, let's say you get really comfortable with the list. Well, what would you want to add? Lead straight punch, rear straight punch, going back to this lead tool. Like, depending on your background, I don't know. I don't know what else you might want to put in there. But that process, again, without starting arguments here, that process is really what we're talking about when we talk about JKD, Jeet Kune, okay? Next family of techniques, cross, X, cross. Cross, lead tool, and then finish with a cross. So the easiest one to show you, cross, jab, cross. Now, I can go through all the Western boxing tools. They're in my curriculum. That's a forced exploration, right? The only one that's parallel that we don't do on this side, we don't throw 1, 2, triple cross. It's too slow, okay? It's always going rear straight punch, lead, tool, whatever this is going to look like, rear straight punch. Okay, so cross jab, cross hook, cross body hook, cross uppercut, cross overhand, cross hammer fist, cross. That's what's in the curriculum. Can I cross lead horizontal elbow, cross? Of course I can. Can I cross Hari Mao, cross? Of course I can. But this is what I'm trying to kind of show you is we get into lots of arguments in JKD. What is JKD? What is JKD not? Nah. There is going to be parts of JKD that is a process. You've got to go through the process to discover what uniquely fits you, okay? Then the last 4, you just got to kind of memorize. Lead uppercut, rear uppercut, hook. Now I want to make the point, in my kids program, I don't teach hooks. I got this from Guru Inosanto. Anytime there's a hook, it's a slap or a body slap. The great part is it's the same mechanics, right? I'm still gonna figure out how to get my body back and in, like when I throw a quality hook. It's just I'm gonna teach that open-handed for kids, okay? But I mean, could I lead uppercut, rear uppercut, lead horizontal elbow? Of course I can. This is not dogma. This is not something that can't be modified. Forced exploration. It is what it is in the curriculum. And if you want to go through my progression, I do ask that you learn it and test it the way that it's written. But once you've done that, can you modify it? Of course you can modify it. And in fact, that's what you're supposed to be doing, according to Bruce Lee, okay? So we're talking about the last 4 in terms of boxing 3 counts. Rear uppercut, lead uppercut, cross. Rear uppercut, lead uppercut, cross, okay? The uppercuts can stay. That could be any rear tool. Rear uppercut, lead uppercut, rear downward diagonal elbow. Sure. Okay. Rear uppercut, lead uppercut, rear hammer fist. Okay. This is what I'm saying. Forced exploration. Making you go through a certain amount of combinations for you to figure out, oh, these things string together really well. Okay. Then the last 2 are variations of the same combo. You're going rear, starting and ending with the rear hand. Hammer fist, uppercut, hammer fist. And then overhands instead of the hammer fist. Overhand, uppercut, overhand. Okay. Could I modify those? Sure. But those are the basics. The basics are written out. Again, forced exploration, forcing you to have a look at them, to install them, all right? And so sometimes people, I really hate this label. Well, I hate all labels, not because I love being associated with Guru Inosanto, but from a JKD perspective, it's very easy. Oh, he's an Inosanto guy. You're being really assumptive if you're saying that in a negative way in terms of JKD. And those people who might think that way, very often they're shocked that I have a separate Jeet Kune curriculum. Like, well, you don't mix everything together. I thought that's what you concept guys did. Well, no, I have a separate progression. So the very first level, singular tools, the jab, the cross, and this is in a right lead, unless people are left-handed. Most of the population right-handed, so we're dominant side forward. So sometimes people are a little shocked. They learn those tools, and then we go through all the boxing 3 counts in a southpaw, okay, and strong side forward, dominant side forward, okay? It's not until the second level that we change leads and that we start an orthodox lead. Because honestly, where we want to head, we don't want to be dependent on leads. Oh, I think I want to trap. Let me get my right side in front. Oh, I think I want to kickbox. Let me get my left side in front. Like, for learning, okay. But later as we evolve, there has to just, boom, be the ability to just go from a neutral position, okay? So then we get into the kick combo ABCs, and I want to make a point with these. We've done these before, so you're going to start and stop with a lead leg roundhouse kick. You have two ways that you can get into that. You can either lean back and throw it. That's totally acceptable. Try not to step. Just your weight is here. You lean it back and you fire. Okay? Or my preference is the pendulum. So the pendulum, I know I didn't cover the footwork. The pendulum is a lot like the slide step, but we're doing slide kick, right? So my rear foot slides in and it loads my lead kick. And sometimes, very nice, you all look really good. Sometimes in isolation, we'll pendulum in and pendulum back, pendulum in and pendulum back. The reality is usually we're entering, and then following up, okay? So the visual that I like to use, and I use this with children and adults because people seem to be able to remember it. This series is a lead now tech or a lead roundhouse kick sandwich. The bottom piece of bread is a roundhouse kick. The top piece of bread is a roundhouse kick. It starts and stops with a lead roundhouse kick. The middle of the sandwich, for the most part, is going to be a punching combination. Now, you're all grown. I'm not trying to treat you like kids. The only reason that seems to work for most people know what a sandwich is. And that visual is very comfortable for them. So all of these combos, like we'll do the first one together. Cross, hook, cross. Start with a kick, cross, hook, cross, end with that same kick. That's it, okay? So, and you get to the point very quickly, you don't even have to remind people about the kicks. You're just naming what's in between the kicks. Again, it's a roundhouse kick sandwich. I'm not trying to treat you like you lack intelligence. I'm not trying to treat you like you're 5 years old. Most people know what a sandwich is, so it's an easy way of explaining it. Number 2 is cross, body hook, cross in between the kicks. So kick, cross, body hook, cross, kick. Good. And we're going to finish this for you, but we're going to do all 7. But I want to point out, we started with the kick as an SDA, as a single direct attack. Because imagine just doing a pendulum in, maybe scoring with a groin kick, and that's the fight, okay? That's not very fair, but in the context of a martial situation, I don't know what that word means, okay? So we started, I gave you 2 ways, lean back into it and throw. It's not really my preference, or pendulum into it. If you do that kick by itself, it's an SDA, a single direct attack. Now we're taking it and we're doing it as an ABC, attack by combination. We're ready for the 3rd one. Okay, the first 3, super easy because there's only a 1-punch difference. Number 1, cross hook cross. Number 2, cross body hook cross. Number 3, cross lead uppercut cross in between the kicks. Everybody try that. Here's your now tech. Cross, lead uppercut, cross. Finish with that lead now tech. Very nice. Okay. Number 4, you get a choice, and you saw this in the boxing 3 counts. You're going to start and stop with your rear hand, either overhand uppercut overhand or hammer fist uppercut hammer fist in between the kicks. Give it a shot. Now tech. Pick which one you want, and then start and end with the kick. Some of my students, they'll ask me, can I do overhand uppercut hammer fist, or hammer fist uppercut overhand. Sure you can, okay? I mean, absolutely. But there's, as long as you understand the basic tools. In my kids program, I don't teach overhands because the hammer fists are the same line. And I'm not trying to baby the kids. It's just a harder skill to develop, instead of, they all know what a hammer is, and it's, oh, I just use the bottom of my hand, and they have all this protective skin here, okay? I'm not saying anything bad about hitting with your knuckles. There was that very famous, I think from Eastern Europe, surveillance video many years ago. It was one guy fighting like 10 people, and he just kept backing up, moving out of range, bop! Just closed fist, Western boxing punches. He just kept, they all kept attacking him, you know, no offense, like old school Kung Fu movie style instead of Bruce Lee. They all kept attacking him one at a time, and he just made range, knocked him out, moved on to the next guy. It was gorgeous. So I'm not saying anything bad about punching with your knuckles, but I mean, simplicity's sake, or maybe I have arthritis, like slapping instead of a hook, or a hammer fist instead of a overhand can be a really good option. All right, let's finish this list. Cross, body hook, head hook, cross in between the kicks. And your lead hand is going to go 2 times in a row for punch number 2 and punch number 3. So you have your kick, cross, body hook, head hook, cross, finish with a kick. Good. Number 6, cross, uppercut, uppercut, hook, cross. Let me say it again. Cross, uppercut, uppercut, hook, cross, in between the kicks. Ready and go. Now tech, cross, uppercut, uppercut, hook, cross, finish with your kick. Good. And number 7, cross, lead elbow, lead knee, rear knee. Now these knees, imagine just being in range, boom, and just lifting your knee into the groin. This isn't necessarily like coming in full power for a tie knee. This is just you're in range, bop, you just kind of lift your knee up into the groin, okay? So listen to it again. Cross, lead elbow, lead knee, rear knee. That's what's in between the kicks. Ready and give it a shot. Lead kick, cross, lead elbow, lead knee, rear knee, lead kick. Very good. Okay, and depending on how much room you have, like Ivan's definitely going to be able to do this one. Let me show you when I have room, how I like to really work these 7. I'm not going to go through all 7 again, but they're going to be on the video. I will upload the video this evening. When I have the room, this is the way that I really like to work it. You just relax and watch it. We might try it a rep or 2 if you have room. Say I start in my left lead. Left now tech, cross, hook, cross. Left now tech, right now tech, and plant it. Cross, hook, cross. Finish with my lead kick. So see what I did there is I worked both leads for the combination, and I used the last, I added in an extra kick, changed my lead, worked the combination on the other side. So number 2, just for example, was cross, body hook, cross in between the kicks. So I have room here as I'm going to fall off. Lead now tech, cross, body hook, cross. Lead now tech, rear now tech, and plant it. Cross, body hook, cross, finish with the lead now tech. And in that way, I get to work both sides. And that is much the way that I prefer to do it. Okay, because if you just name it and pay attention to what lead you're in, you can easily work them. Okay, now, some people have said, and I'm gonna make sure I don't keep yapping on about this because we have a good 15 minutes to go. Some people have said that is not material directly from Bruce Lee. You are correct. That is more Inosanto JKD. Well, why did that change? That changed because Sifu Guru Inosanto started teaching larger groups. He started having instructors, conferences, seminars, etc. It looked different than teaching 12 people in his backyard. Okay, so some of these combinations are things that got added on or modified later. Now, they still follow the JKD template because I had to teach all of them to you. Well, I didn't really have to teach them to you because I have such an advanced group. I had to introduce them at least as SDA, single direct attack, okay? Then we took them and we started putting the movements together. We went into the next way of attack, which is ABC, attack by combination. The only other thing that I'll say about this, those 7 combinations, and they sometimes change. Like this is, I just came up to my 17th anniversary of being involved with the Inosanto lineage. So I guess I'm moving into my 18th year now. Every now and then, like, they'll change in some minuscule way, but the 7 are the basic 7 for as long as I've been involved with the Inosanto lineage. I've seen Yori Nakamura, I've seen Damon Caro, I've seen Salem S. Lee, I can go on and on. I've seen notable martial artists warm up with those basic 7 or some variation of them, 90% the way that I just taught them to you at the Inosanto Academy in the most advanced JKD class. That's seminal material, okay? And I'm just going to say this, you know, it's impossible to take anything away from Bruce Lee. And if we could wave a magic wand and you know, bring him back, we would do that. It would be amazing to have him here with us, guiding us. That's unfortunately not what happened. Bruce Lee passed away 5 years before I was born, okay? Dan Inosanto is my primary JKD source. I subsequently work with a lot of other great people as well, but there you go, okay? So that brings us to a really important point, grappling, all right? So I'm gonna change the shot. And again, I don't have anybody with me because you're all training by yourself, and let's make it look the way that it looks for you. So in Junfan level 1, there's one stand-up requirement, which I've taught before. It's on a past video. Next week, I'll make sure I have somebody and I can show that. It's essentially just like a clinch transitioning to a rear naked choke. But what I really want to talk about with the remainder of our time is the JKD grappling on the ground, okay? So Junfan level 1, and I'll explain Junfan versus JKD before we run out of time today. Junfan level 1, there's only 2 drills, aside from that one stand-up requirement. So imagine I've got a partner in my open guard. They're kneeling in my open guard. And imagine my partner has focus mitts. My partner is going to feed me 3 punches. I'm going to cover, 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 punch, punch, punch. So stay where you're at for a second. If I'm doing the other side, I've got focus mitts, boom, boom, boom. I'm hitting the person on the bottom, and then after the 3 punches, I'm holding so that they can sit up and fire their punches. That's the first drill, okay? Is cover, 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 punch, punch, punch. Cover, 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 punch, punch, punch. If they go for the body, I try to use my elbows. I don't drop my hands. That's a good way to get hit or knocked out. If they go for my body, I try to use my elbows. I keep my hands high, and we do that drill for 60 seconds. Cover 3, bop, bop, bop. Cover 3, pop, pop, pop. That my partner can go head, head, stomach, 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 head, 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 stomach. They can go anything, but the important part, keep my hands up. My head and deflecting head shots is more important than if I get tagged with an occasional body shot. I try to deflect body shots with my elbows. That's the first drill. We do that for 60 seconds. Second drill, defend 3, simulate the clinch, release, and fire 3. So it looks very similar. My partner's in my open guard. They start the same way as the last drill. They fire 3 shots. I clinch with one hand, and I lay the other hand in, and I simulate pressure. And usually when I say simulate pressure, I usually move the person from side to side. In reality, most people, even with training in the feeder spot, they're gonna fight with all their might to the point that they might injure their neck. Okay, so I don't have my partner hurt themselves, I just simulate pressure. For the drill, I release, I let the person sit up, and I fire 3. Okay, so cover, 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 clinch, simulate pressure, release, fire 3. Cover, 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 clinch, simulate pressure, release, fire 3. Now, what is that drill giving me, and what is it for in reality? Being able to deal with the ground and pound, being able to smother, and then what we would actually want to do is we would want to give what we call in certain systems a false positive. I would move one hand just an inch or 2 away from the back of their head. It's going to feel like I've released my hold. They're actually going to sit up right into the back of my hand, at which point I can either elbow or I can punch. And the scary part about that is that works like, sorry for this reference, that works like the Jedi mind trick. It's like telling them when to sit up so that you can punch them. Like, it works every time. Okay, so defending shots, smother, let them sit up into that false positive and then hit. And like, it happens at will. Because again, to the untrained person, or sadly, sometimes even the person with training, when they get hauled down, they're fighting with all their might, like to the point that they're gonna hurt their neck. So when they feel that false positive, they sit up into it, pop, and that's when you're ready to score. Okay, so those are the first 2 ground-based drills at Junfan level 1. I also want to teach you one other set of drills for the ground, JKD grappling, that we would learn at Junfan 2. So same situation, okay? Your partner has focus mitts, they're in your open guard. This time, they fire a right straight punch at your face. Split entry. So my left hand puts a lid on it, my right hand hits. I like the BUG. You could punch, or this is a vertical punch, or you could Western palm down punch. The inside arm hooks, and you turn towards the person. And the only thing that changes, we're going to score with 3 shots here. The only thing that changes is the shape of the tool that I'm using to hit them with. So on the other side, they would sit up. Okay, so just everybody, I'll do it again if they were feeding the left punch now. So they feed the left straight punch. I simulate that split entry. Right hand puts a lid on it, left hand attacks in some shape. It's always the inside arm that hooks. That's going to haul them down. I turn towards them. They would actually hold the focus mitts. The first variation is 3 punches. In actuality, those punches would go to the side of their head. That entry, that looks really good, everybody who's drilling it. that entry never changes. I'm going to give you a slightly different vantage point. So if I'm on the other side, if they're in my guard and they're throwing their right straight punch, my left hand puts a lid on it on the outside of their arm, while my right hand goes inside and scores with some kind of shot. It's always the inside arm that hooks, that's going to haul them down, and I always turn on my side towards them. Variation number 2 is 3 slaps. So it's number 1 is punches, number 2 is slaps. So let's look at that. I'm going to give you my back, but at least you'll see it from the other perspective. The left punch comes in, my right hand puts a lid on it on the outside, my left hand scores, my left hand scoops or hooks on the inside, I turn on my left side. Number 2 is 3 slaps. What ends up happening, you can stay where you're at, what ends up happening with the feeder is they go here and they get hauled down because you're scooping and yanking them down. So they go, if they go here, they end up like that. They end up in the perfect spot for you to punch them, slap them. Number 3 is elbows, and number 4 is ridge hands. So, and again, I'll show you with a partner what this would look like next week, but right now, since everybody's training on their own solo in the air, you may as well learn it solo in the air, right? So number 3, right punch, split, capture, turn on your right side, 3 elbows. Number 4, I'm so sorry, let's do the other side, excuse me. Number 3 against the left punch. Right hand puts a lid on it, left hand attacks in some shape. Inside arm always captures. Turn towards them, 3 elbows to the side of their head. Okay? Number 4, just stay where you're at, but remember, they're going to get hauled down like this. Number 4, you're attacking the spinal column on the outside behind them, okay, with a ridge hand. So the entry, let me actually do it this way. The entry, here's the right hand. Left hand puts a lid on it. Right hand attacks. Right hand captures. Turn towards them. I'm taking this bony intersection of my hand and my wrist, slamming that down on the top of the back of their neck, like C1 and C2. This is a really horrible thing to do to somebody. It's got to be somebody that was really trying to harm you, if not kill you, for you to think about using this attack. Okay? Left side, when they give a left punch, my right hand puts a lid on it, my left hand attacks in some way. Left hand captures, turn towards them, and I drop this ridge hand on the back of their neck, okay? So it's always split, capture, turn towards them. Number 1 is 3 punches. Number 2 is 3 slaps. Number 3 is 3 elbows. Number 4 is 3 ridge hands to the back of the head. The only thing that you have to get down is to kind of standardize the entry, because it's the same entry, just on 2 sides. Like when it's their right punch, it's always your left hand on the outside of their arm that puts a lid on it, and your right hand attacks simultaneously, whatever shape. And it's always the same, like whatever shape. This could be a phoenix fist from Kempo. This could be a Harimau from Silat. This could be a Chung Choi. This could be a palm down Western punch. This could be a Buji or a Sungab, because they're the same thing. It doesn't matter. Then this inside arm scoops on the inside. It hooks. That's the capture. On that capture beat, that's where they're going to get like pulled onto their hands. You turn towards them. Number 1, 3 punches. Number 2, 3 slaps. Number three, I'm hitting, I'm doing a particular kind of elbow for like from the WTBA. So I'm hitting this way, there. And then four, again, I the bony intersection of my wrist and my hand to the top of the spinal column. Okay, and then without going over, let me just go over the entry. When the left straight punch comes, my right hand puts a lid on it. My left hand attacks in whatever shape. My left hand scoops, and then I turn towards them. And, you know, whatever variation I'm doing, number one is punches, number two is slaps, number three is elbows, number four is ridge hands. But you have a standardized entry as a way to come into this on both sides, all right? And if you're laying there or sitting there thinking, well, this looks a lot like Wing Chun trapping from the open guard, that's exactly what it is, okay? And I got all this material from Guru Inosanto, all right? I mean, Guru Inosanto, you know, again, I'm not like praying to the man or anything like that. You know, Guru Inosanto, though, black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, legitimately. It's not like they were like an honorary black belt, like he put in the years. And the highest ranking in shoot wrestling. I think that's a level A senior shooter or whatever that is. And again, it's not like Sensei Yori was just like, oh, you're a good guy, Guru Dan, here, take this. Like he put in the hours and the years. He's, you know, he's bad news when it comes to grappling for his opponents because he's put in the time. So very often people are really shocked when I teach this material. And my belief is that it all came from Sifu Guru Inosanto. Now there are some of the traditional, I'll make a note, I'll try and get to these for you next week. There are some from the mid-60s, like some examples of like entering with Wing Chun, taking down with some kind of grappling, and combinations like that that come straight from Bruce Lee. And I mean, those really do show you how ahead of his time he was. Because, you know, first UFC is 1991, and we're talking just a few years shy, like mid or early 60s, just a few years shy of being 30 years before that he was already playing with, you know, entering with some kind of structure to take him into his trapping and then take him into grappling and then some kind of finish. And what last thing I'll say, what Guru Dan usually says is that the difference today would be that we might contest the energy. Like you might, if the entry is fake high kick low into double pak sao, elbow, and then, you know, bent arm bar, maybe we enter without actually doing our partner damage. And when I go to take that bent arm bar, that we start pummeling, right? As opposed to them just passively letting me take it. But again, even we're talking like early 60s, mid 60s, that's still pretty cool that Bruce Lee was thinking that way, you know, 27, 26 years before the first UFC. I always have found that pretty neat. So, okay. So once again, just so it's on here, not necessarily for all of you, but for anybody who might watch this, if you have any interest, if you haven't already done so, in formalizing your distance training relationship with me and earning rank, the URL is Stoops, OMALC.com, like Stoops Online Martial Arts Learning Community. That URL will appear in the description. Thank you. I hope you had fun, everybody. It's good to see everybody again. And, you know, let's check out. Thank you so much. Chinese, Filipino, Thai, Indonesian, French and Dog Brothers, and Japanese. All right. And once again, everybody, I'm always so grateful. Thank you so much that you would share your time with me, that you would make time for this. Okay. So I'm going to stop the recording and hopefully see everybody on Wednesday. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.